Hello, friends. Welcome back. Today we are going to go on a deep dive about what we talked about yesterday and really find out why the human being creates threats and then worries about that, concerns about it, creates stories about that. So, I've been working through this program for a while now, and I'm quite frankly, I'm getting pretty sick of it. And I was thinking of, why is this coming up? So what we realized yesterday was that what my body perceives as a threat are other humans with a certain level of hidden anger. I feel like all humans have some hidden anger unless they've done the self-work. Yet there's some sort of threshold where some humans contain a lot of it. And I was thinking back to my past, and I realized all of these people that my being viewed as threats had this high level of hidden anger. That's what it was energetically. And of course, it may be wise to stay away from people with a lot of hidden anger. And so that is one obvious conclusion, that my being was letting me know just to be aware and to talk to other people, or just kind of to not to scare me or anything, but to give my attention to other ones. Yet I did the opposite. For my whole life, I would pour all of my attention into the ones with the hidden anger, becoming hyper-focused on that. And then, as I discovered yesterday, then I would start feeling the resistance that they felt, which never feels good. And so I recognized that in the past, people with this hidden anger had hurt me. And this was predominantly through words. And what I realized was, it's like almost like the body doesn't want to feel that negative emotion so badly that it prevents that at any cost. And this is because when someone insults us or says something mean or gets angry, then our emotional response, if we are unconscious, unawake, unaware, it's going to be pretty negative. I think, at least for the vast majority of people. And that is because we are actually internalizing what is being hurled at us. We feel like we deserve the anger for some reason. We take the mean words they say, we say, oh, I guess I am that because that person called me that. And this brought up the fact that it's believing in someone else over ourself. And it's believing in someone's separate, false ego self over ourselves. Because their higher self would never do that kind of thing. And their higher self, their true self, accepts us, approves of us, appreciates us, unconditionally loves us, and supports us, and respects us. And so when a human acts out of alignment with that, it's basically nothing. It's a lie. It's untrue. We could call it make-believe. Yet when we internalize this, because we are not connected to ourselves, and we just take what anyone else says and internalize that, well, that's when we are hurt, and that's when we start having these kind of processes. Of course, I feel this parts of this program came from a long time ago, from and from my ancestors from the war. But I also see how I contributed to it and added beliefs through my own experiences in this lifetime. And so over time it built up. And it's like on this journey, we may start with just, well, when we're a child, we're quite free, quite open, quite connected. But as we start layering on these beliefs and programs, we start creating our reality around that, which is basically reinforcing the beliefs and programs, which, as you see, attracts more stuff like that, creating more trauma, more hurt, and it just gets piled and piled on top of each other. And so it's not like it's one thing, it's a lot of different things contributing to how we are reacting, how we are moving through the reality, until we awaken, until we take our power back and learn to respond. And so what I realized about this, that having a fear of being hurt is like being afraid that we will believe the lie that someone else is telling us. So being afraid of being hurt is being afraid of believing the lie someone says about us. And the other thing I saw is that when someone hurls insults or is angry or anything like that, they are making guilty for how they feel. Because if they felt good, they wouldn't choose to insult another. If they felt good, they wouldn't get angry. So they are running their own beliefs and programs, and then they hurl this guilt. And then if we're unconscious to it, we believe we're guilty, internalize the guilt, and then of course eventually project that onto others again. And that brings me just perfectly to the next realization, was that when I see or you see or we see anyone as a threat, we are actually making them guilty. We are saying, at the very least, you have a high probability of being guilty, and that's why I perceive you as a threat. Yet, I came back to one of the videos in this very playlist, which is The End of Worry. And in that video, we discovered that basically worry is thinking that something will be guilty in the future. That without that, worry doesn't stand. Worry stands on this false fact that something will be guilty in the future, but it won't be, because everyone is innocent, everyone is helping us, regardless of how it looks to our human self. And so I was like, wow, it all came full circle, that seeing another as a threat was making them guilty, which was worrying that they are going to do something that we would make them guilty of in the future. Yet making guilty is judgment, and we're moving beyond that because we are awakened and we're on this ascension path, and it just never feels good to judge, to make guilty, to even to feel hurt. All these signs, all this stuff that doesn't feel good is showing us that it's out of alignment, that it's not even true. Yet, because of conditioning and programming and all this stuff, we learned to believe in others over ourselves. We believed in guilt. We believed that feeling bad was just part of life. And so and it kind of is, because it's also very helpful. But what I'm saying is that we can shift our viewpoint of any situation. And this is actually how we heal our past situations, is seeing it through our higher self perspective, who never once made the other guilty, and that saw it as an opportunity for growth for our human self. And that opportunity for growth was so that we could rise above it and that we wouldn't have to experience it again. And that's another fearful program, is that once we go through something, we're going to experience it again. And that's also what this thing about perceiving someone as a threat and being worried about it, that's the exact program. Is I've been through this pain and I don't want to experience it again. But we don't have to experience it again once we take the learnings from it. And if we did happen to experience something similar, it just wouldn't affect us in the same way, because we're connected to ourselves, to our hearts, to our higher self. And so we know our truth, and we know that what anyone else says is just a projection of their own consciousness. And it really doesn't say anything about us. It's just them projecting out what they have internalized, their beliefs, their programs, their hurts, their traumas. It's actually quite revealing of what they've been through and what they're dealing with. And so I was coming to all these conclusions and seeing this whole thing in a whole new light. And because I really, and I've definitely felt it many times, so many times, where I feel so much love for every single human being. Yet sometimes this old program comes in, and after yesterday's realization, I really wanted to get to the bottom of this. Not only for myself, but for all of you watching, because I know that I go through this stuff not just for me. It's for all who are seeing this video. And I know that to be true because Spirit has set up so many things for me to go through as I was putting together the books, and as I continue in life, for that I can share with others how I overcame things, because a lot of us, I feel, are dealing with these similar programs, patterns, conditionings. And so, of course, the goal is to be able to unconditionally love every single human, to accept everyone. And I feel like I've been there for years, actually, but it's just sometimes these old programs rear their head and it catches me off guard, and I tune in to my higher self. I do the introspective work. I take everything I've learned from all of the galactic light beings and collectives that I've channeled, and I put it all together, and I see the situation in a new light and through a lens of clarity, where the illusion, which is the guilt, the fear, and of course the hurt, because also our true self has never been hurt, because it's never believed the lies of others. And although we want to acknowledge and honor that experience we had of being hurt, and I don't want to downplay that in any way, because that's a real thing we all go through, yet it's very healing to know that our true self was not hurt in the same way our human ego self was in that event. Our true self was totally fine. And sometimes we also go through these events to let us know, wait a minute, I don't really want to hang out with this human anymore. And we can still accept them, we can still love them, but we don't have to hang out with everyone. We don't have to be friends with everyone. And sometimes we go through that to let us know, okay, that was the last straw. I am not going to put up with this anymore. I'm not going to be in this relationship, in this friendship, in this dynamic, in this workplace. Insert whatever one is dealing with here. So sometimes it's showing us through that action of the other just that it's time for us to move on and cease to engage with that being anymore. And of course, at their core, they are their true self, unconditional love. But until they discover that, and while they're dealing with all their own beliefs, programs, and distortion, we just want to let them be. And even if they awaken and sort this out, we still don't need to be their friend. Because I feel like a lot of times when we let someone go from our life, we let them go for the rest of this lifetime. That doesn't mean that we won't. There is potential of them awakening and us reconnecting in the future. There is, but I would say it's very, very small. And so the moral of the story is that oftentimes it's letting us know to withdraw our energy from situations that are draining us, that aren't supportive of us, that are people that may be jealous, or just having this hidden anger that just comes out. It's just because they have been hurt and they internalize this hurt, and then they have to project it out onto others. And I know this because I have actually also dealt with this myself to a degree. I feel thankfully not near to the degree that a lot of other people have, but I definitely did have a lot of hidden anger, yet I was able to process this out in healthy ways. And by learning to allow energies to move through me, to allow triggers to help me to release energies, and also the help of my non-physical team has been just immense. And my body has been helping me purge old energies since awakening, and I also see that it has been even before. Our bodies are always assisting us. Our light team is always assisting us. Yet once we become conscious, we are able to notice this assistance. And upon noticing it, we feel gratitude, we feel appreciation for it. We experience this new depth of life, feeling supported by everything, really. Because everything is helping us. Even the ones who are filled with hidden anger and that do this, they're helping us. You know, when we leave that, we're going to find more peace. We're going to find more joy. We're not going to have our attention on that and have that draining our energy. So there's so many benefits. And also by walking away, someone else may realize, oh, that person walked away, so I can walk away too. And then maybe enough people walk away, and then the person finally realizes, oh, maybe it'd be good to deal with this. But that's not our responsibility. That's on each human to deal with their own stuff, to deal with our own hidden anger. And so I feel called to mention some of the ways that I have moved this anger out. The first really amazing way I learned was to scream at the top of my lungs while driving the car with the windows up. It's not being dramatic for anyone. It's just getting this anger out through the vibration of our voice, and yelling, screaming. And wow, the first time I did this, I was amazed at the result. Like, I felt so much leave, and I felt such a lightness by moving that out. And since I've done that a lot in the last few years, and what we can do is we can set the intention that we'll move this anger out, and we can even think in our minds of the things that made us angry or brought up that anger as we're screaming, yelling, to release it. And after, wow, the feeling is night and day. And so that is one of them. I mentioned some others in my books as well, but that really has assisted me in a huge way to let go of this hidden anger. And also, of course, understanding the multidimensional reality, understanding that all is love, and understanding what is truth, what is in alignment, and what is untrue, which is out of alignment, has also helped me just so much with coming to peace with everything. And seeing the purpose, of course, has assisted me with forgiveness, and then seeing what I gained from each experience. I can have gratitude for literally every experience. Yet our body remembers these experiences, and that was what was coming up, and that was why I was feeling, and you may be feeling, that sensation of, oh, that person may be a threat. And they're not a threat, because now you know what's true. We don't believe in what anyone says about us. We are the ones who decide what we are, who we are, everything. What someone else says is just their own projection. And if it's not coming from love, it's not even true. And so if we want to see how we can look at ourselves, what is true for us, we can see ourselves through the eyes of our higher self, through the eyes of Source, through the eyes of our heavenly helpers, our guides, light beings, star beings. And we can get an idea of how love sees us. And once we start doing that, the more we do that, the more we cultivate this, the more we're actually just not even going to attract anyone that's going to say otherwise. In fact, we're actually going to start attracting people that mirror that back to us. And I have had so many experiences like this in my life since I started looking at myself differently. I noticed the people around me started treating me differently and looking at me differently, but it all started with me. And so, coming back to the crux of this message, the letting go of this, we could call it the fear of worry, the fear of someone being guilty, which is completely impossible because everyone is an innocent helper, an innocent being of light, just having a human experience. And we can hold our previous version of ourselves that went through those hard times, who was hurt, who was very scared. And we can hold them just as our higher self holds us, and we can let them know the truth. We can let them know they didn't do anything wrong, that they're not guilty, that they're not this, that, and the other thing. And we can heal our past in this way. And in doing that, this will come up less as we move forward. And yeah, I'm just so excited about the days and months to come to see how these realizations shift things for me, because they always do, and it's always profound, and it's so exciting to witness. And so let that be some encouragement for you as well if you're doing this work, and I know you are if you're watching this, that you will see the results. And also not to get down on yourself when things like this come up that we feel like we've already dealt with. Because the more we heal it, the more we rise in vibration, the more we're gonna rise to a higher timeline, the more joy, peace, abundance, prosperity, presence, everything any human ever wanted, we will experience. And so with that, I will leave you until next time, of course, until tomorrow. And yeah, sending you so much love and joy on your journey today. And we'll see you in the next one.